What's up YouTube, Mike here from Techno GI, and it's been quite a while since I've done a video. I've been busy with real life and got a lot of stuff to review. But what I wanted to talk about today is the Samsung Gear S. With all the spotlight that the Apple Watch is getting and all the reviews of that, I think this is actually a better product, more bang for your buck, and it's just a lot more capable. So let's go ahead and look at it. Thanks. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the Samsung Galaxy Gear S. And right off the bat, I want to show one of my favorite features, and comparing this to the Apple Watch, I'm almost positive that you're unable to do this with the Apple Watch, but as you can see, I just got the time displayed on the watch and always on. So I leave this screen always on as far as, it doesn't give me all the information, but it does what it's supposed to do as a watch. So I don't have to raise my wrist or tap anything in order to activate the screen just to see what time it is. In this mode, it is always on. And one good thing about this is, I guess I'll roll into, is the battery life on this. This has got about a 300 milliamp battery, and it says 1 to 3 days. And I've been using this for about 2 weeks now, and I've had no issue whatsoever making it through a day. And I use, I would say, moderate to heavy use, and that's leaving this screen on constantly, 24/7. And I usually take it off the charger about, I don't know, 7 a.m. and by 10, 11 o'clock at night is kind of when I take it off and retire. And at that point, lately I've been averaging, it's been down to about 40% left. And that's with moderate to heavy use and leaving the screen on all the time. So that is pretty impressive. I know the Apple Watch, it's got about a 200 milliamp battery, and of course Apple advertises you can get up to 18 hours. And there's been a lot of reviews now on the Apple Watch, and the battery's actually been surprisingly, I guess, better than expected. People have been having really no issue making it through the 18-hour mark, but of course that's with the screen off, except when you're using it. So by far, I think this has definitely got a better battery than the Apple Watch. Like I said, I leave the screen always on, and it does have a bigger battery, so obviously that plays into it, but so far no issue with battery. Okay, one key thing I forgot to mention on this is the charger itself. Of course, this is a proprietary charger, and this just clips onto the back, and from this it runs any micro USB. But the cool thing about this, and another feature where I think it is one-ups the Apple Watch, is this is actually its own battery. So you can carry this in your pocket, and for whatever reason, if your watch gets kind of low, clip this bad boy on, and this will give it quite a boost. It'll probably charge it almost to 50%, and it charges pretty quick. So that is a kind of a bonus feature you may or may not know about, is this charger that comes with it is actually a extra battery pack. So kind of a neat feature. Like I said, I carry this in my pocket. I haven't had to use it yet, but it's there if you want to use it, and it charges it pretty rapidly. And you can actually still use it while it's charging, which is kind of cool. So, but as you can see, this has got a 2-inch curved AMOLED display. It's Gorilla Glass, not grass, but pretty durable. And as I'm talking about, I'm just kind of scroll through some of the features here. But really nice display. I've got kind of big hands and big wrists, so it fits me pretty well. It doesn't look small or too big on my wrist, but along with the size being an advantage, I think for a female or just someone with smaller wrists and smaller hands, this may be too big of a display, so that I guess would be a negative. So you kind of have to take that in consideration if you're looking at this watch, especially as opposed to the Apple Watch. We know the Apple Watch has got two different sizes, the 38 millimeter and the 42 millimeter. So this is obviously bigger than both of them. But like I said, on my wrist it looks fine, and it is curved, as you can see. And with it being a 2-inch display, they kind of had to curve it, or it would look kind of wanky if it wasn't curved to conform to your wrist. But this has got let's kind of talk about some of the specs. This has got a 1 gigahertz chipset in it, and of course this is running Samsung's own Tizen network. As you can see, it's controlled by touch, and it's got one physical button down here. So it's a very bright, nice looking display. I have no issues with that. Memory, this is a 512 megabytes of RAM. I really haven't noticed any issues as far as it being able to keep up and slow down. It's hard to get this to focus on this, but these are just the various apps that you can have on it. But like I said, it's got 512 megabytes of RAM, which is more than sufficient to run what you need on the watch. It's also got 4 gigabytes of internal storage, which is pretty good. And the good thing about this is you can store, up to 4 gigabytes of music and or apps on this thing. I wish I could get this to focus a little better. But of course with the Apple Watch, it only lets you do a gig of music as far as on the watch itself. So you can sync only playlists with the Apple Watch. But I know there's going to be third-party apps that are going to be a solution to that. But out of the box, again, you've got 4 gigs of RAM where you can just put any music you want on it and or apps. And said it's pretty fluid display. As far as sensors go, this is pretty much got everything you could ever need. Samsung is really, they kind of make the Swiss Army knives of technical products. I mean, they usually cram so many features in here. Some of them you'll use, some of them you won't. But this has got your accelerometer in it. It's got a gyroscope. It's got a compass. Of course, a heart rate monitor. It's got an ambient light sensor. And it's got a UV sensor. So that's something you don't have it on the Apple Watch. But something, I don't know, I'll probably never use. I don't quite see the point of it personally. But it's there if you want it. So you can actually take it outside and it'll tell you what the UV index is. So if you're prone to sunburn, maybe that's something you'll use. But me personally, it's something I'll never use. This also has a barometer in it. And the cool thing about this, as opposed to the Apple Watch, is this has actually got a GPS in it built in. So you don't need your phone to use the GPS on this. So it's completely standalone, which is pretty cool. And of course, this is also 3G. So this has its own SIM card in it, and it's its own, it's essentially a mini cell phone on your wrist if you think about it that way. So you can leave your cell phone behind when you go on a run, go work out, or whatever, and you can still receive all your text messages, all your phone calls. If you're out running, again, it's got its own GPS, and it uses the cellular network as well to triangulate your position. So you're going to get all the indications as far as tracking your distance and all that. What else? Let's see. Like I said, connectivity. This has also got its own Wi-Fi, so you can actually connect this to Wi-Fi. Of course, it's got Bluetooth 4.1, and again, it works well. Like I said, it's good for tracking your position. I've already used it a few times on a run. No issues. I took it on a bike ride. Again, it tracked my heart rate. It also tracked how far I'd gone. It was tracking my speed, and all that without my phone. I left my phone behind. This does have its own built-in speakers. They're not great, not terrible. I mean, again, it's a small device, so don't expect stereo sound to come out of this thing. But again, with the Bluetooth, you can actually pair a Bluetooth headset with this, which is pretty cool. Again, I already mentioned the battery. This has got a 300 milliamp battery, which does quite well, actually. From the get-go, I've had the screen brightness all the way up. I've used this to make text messages, phone calls, and had no issue whatsoever with battery. I've been leaving my cell phone actually behind more and more because I really don't need it with this. Because again, this is essentially, it's a baby cell phone that's on your wrist. So really, all you need your cell phone for is to initially set this up. And there are workarounds with that as well, but again, you can see some of the features on this. And you can, with the gear manager, you can kind of set up what you want. You can set up your watch face. There's numerous watch faces. And this is my home screen, just to be the one I kind of went with, and there's multiple choices. And you can have, you can set up what quick apps you want. So like this is the music one. Then I've got the health app, which has got your pedometer, which works very well. It's got your heart rate, your sleep sensor, your UV sensor, and I've got a news thing, which I don't know, it's hard to focus on this, but it's got a complete news app, and you can click on these and it's going to take you through and show you, the news. And it's got my kind of to-do list, but you can customize this any way you want. Of course, you got your physical button, which takes you home. Swipe up, you've got the various apps that are on this, phone, messages, navigator, S-Health, I mean, really whatever you want. And the cool thing about this over the Apple Watch is, of course, there are games on it. I don't know why you want to play a game this small, but there's a cool web browser. It's called Opera Mini. And you've got the web on here, and I can't necessarily get it to focus on here very well. Let's see. But it's got a full web browser. We can pinch to zoom in and out, and it works well. But like I said, my favorite thing about this, obviously, it's not going to last as long as a Pebble, which is going to give you 5 to 7 days. But I can get a full day, no issue whatsoever with leaving the screen on and using this quite a bit. And the cool thing is, for instance, with messages, you can reply, but it's got its own keyboard, which I can't get it to show with this crappy camera. But it's got a full keyboard, so instead of the canned messages that you get with other smartwatches, you can actually type in whatever you want, and it's actually quite responsive. It's a pretty small keyboard, but it's optimized, obviously, so it's pretty easy, and it does real well at giving you suggestions as far as what you want. Let's see, maybe if I turn the brightness down a little bit, you'll be able to see the apps a little better. Yeah, there you go. So like I said, these are the kind of the apps that come on it. Here's the web browser one I wanted to show you. It's still kind of hard to see, but let's say, whatever reason I want to go to eBay or whatever. Like I said, it's a full web browser. I mean, obviously it's a small screen, but it works. There's also an actual YouTube app for this, which works as well. Let's see. There it goes, it's loading. But right now it's bringing up eBay, which I don't know how this is focusing on it, but you may or may not be able to see that. There it goes. But anyway, it'll let you pinch and zoom on whatever website you open. And of course, within your settings, you got your normal stuff. And I'm actually quite a fan of the Tizen operating system. I actually like it better than Android Wear personally. I just think it's more user-friendly. Let's change this so it doesn't keep going to sleep on me. And it's just more intuitive. I mean, and of course you can customize this with your phone. You just need the gear manager. Of course you swipe, you got your various messages, and of course you can reply to all these as you wish. And the cool thing is also, if you mark it red on here, as in you read it, then it's going to mark it on your phone, so you're not always going to have your phone chirping at you. So that's a cool feature. And let me see if I can get this web thing to open again. There we go. Right now it's on Amazon, which you may or may not be able to see it, but it allows you to pinch to zoom, so you can make it big. So it's actually quite usable, quite readable. Let's see. Again, there are games on here. This one, let's try this one. May or may not show up on here, but this is called Pixel Ninja. So really, if you're bored, there's plenty of ways to entertain yourself with this. And I mean, it's nothing super fancy or gargantuan, just because what it is. It is a phone, or I say it is a watch, so don't expect anything too extreme or too crazy. I find that I use the news app on here quite a bit, which I don't know if I can get it to focus, but it's very readable, very responsive. You can open the article and you can actually read the complete article, which I like quite a bit. So, and of course, comparing this to the Apple Watch, again, you have to look at price. I mean, this brand new retail is about $384. And with most cell phone carriers, you can actually do like me. I personally have Sprint, so they've got Easy Pay. So they'll break it down into what I pay is $16 a month. And it can vary with your carrier, anywhere from $10 to $16. Or you can buy this outright for, like I said, $384. And I've seen these on eBay and Amazon even cheaper than that. So really, you can find this watch anywhere from $250 all the way up to about $380, which is retail. Whereas the Apple Watch, for a male, you're going to want the 42 millimeters. So you're looking at $400 right off the bat. And Apple Watches that are going to end up popping up on eBay, of course, they're going to be charging more for them because they know they're not out yet. So as far as for your money, this is substantially cheaper, and you just get so many more features. Like I said, the most popular thing about this one is it is a standalone watch. So once you set it up with your phone, you can leave your phone behind. You can still receive calls, make calls, text, email, you name it, and you do not need your phone with you. And again, it's got its own GPS. So to me, this is where it destroys the Apple Watch. It's just, with the Apple Watch, you're still tethered to your phone. And a lot of people gave Samsung grief when the first Gears came out because they're like, well, if you want that watch, you have to have a Samsung phone, which is true. But you're not limited to just one phone, i.e. the iPhone. You can use it with all the Note series. Like right now I've got this paired with the Galaxy Note 2, which is an older phone, but it works no issues. And of course you can use it with the latest flagship phones, your S6s, your S5. And with the iPhone, of course, you're limited between an iPhone 5 up to the 6s. So you actually have more phone options with this than you would with the iPhone. But of course, nobody gives the iPhone or the Apple any grief when you're limited to using, obviously, an iPhone in order to have the Apple Watch. So that's just my opinion, my thoughts. I'm sure you guys may or may not feel the same way, but for the money and just features-wise, I think this is the best smartwatch out there as far as a smartwatch. Now, if you're looking for one, it's a watch first. Again, I still stand by the Pebble is the best for that. But as far as full-featured smartwatch, I don't think you can go wrong with this. I think this is the best one out there right now. And again, this works as a standalone watch. You don't need your phone with it at all. And there's quite a few apps because Samsung, of course, has had a head start as opposed to the Apple Watch. So they've got quite a few apps out there for this thing. And I mean, you got anything you could really think of, and utilitarian-wise, that you would want to use on a watch. But that, I highly recommend it. If you have any questions, just go ahead and leave them in the comments below. And with that, as always, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching.